Sorry I haven't put out much interesting content lately. I'm still chipping away in the background, so I just thought I'd do a quick demo. So where do I begin? Alright, I got the radio running at 5 watts there on 40 meters. This is one I, hang on, let's just check this out. Look at that, not just pinging the meter, but the lights are still on all this way. A lot of my recent experiments, I think I became too conservative and went back kind of to convention in a way. I wasn't getting as good results. Yet when I get adventurous and go with my gut, I get much better results. Though I tend to worry about, criticism from know-alls. Wow, so this is what I came up with last night. It's very, very interesting. Initially, my initial setup with it resulted in a system where I had no detection. I couldn't pick it up with the E-field meter or with a conventional TEM wave meter. Nothing. It was like a dummy load. Couldn't sense anything off it. But when I jumped in the car, I could pick it up on one of my antennas only, my Tesla HF Mobile V1, and all the way into Emerald. But there was nothing detectable from it with detectors. So that had me puzzled. I'm guessing like an ether wave, very different. So I'll go back to that in the future sometime. But I've since modified so it's a longitudinal magnetodielectric wave. But yeah, so it's actually quite unusual. I will show the system, but don't expect me to explain every single detail because so you can copy it, because that's not what this is about. I'm still working it all out myself. But I have a powerful magnet in the core. Now, in the past, I've had some very interesting results when I focus magnetism and add an LMD wave to it. So there's a powerful magnet, and let's say the south pole is pointing out this way. On top of it, though, I've got another powerful, smaller magnet with the south pole pointing the other way, and same at the other side in reverse. Now, so if you can imagine, if this was the south side normally, you'd have your torus field coming around and coming around. Now, what I've noticed over years of experiments is that if I place another magnet the wrong way around and force it in the middle, a smaller one, let's say the south lines that would normally come out and be attracted to the north at the back, because there's now a north in the middle just forward, some of them go forward and in, and the rest go back. But that leaves some lines actually continuing out. But for that to happen, you have to allow the same at the back, so some lines can come in. So it can become a magnetic throughput. Now, as you'd probably be aware with like plasma filaments and stuff like that, if they're DC polarized, they have a rotation, and there's a coherent magnetic rotation along with the electric fields in my view. Though if it's a truly AC plasma filament, then it's actually changing the magnetic the magnetic vortex field that it creates. So basically, as you've got moving charges, it creates a rotating magnetic field. We already know that if we send high energy particles, so-called particles, in one direction, that rotating field, once established, makes it easier for more particles to travel through. So it's like the field's left in its wake. In the past, I've noticed that I can play with that when I'm transmitting and actually connect to a filament with a field strength meter and walk away and then do that and then come back, and I've lost a signal, like a weak signal. I did that at VHF some time ago, so I will get back to that. But this is now, well look, this is a coaxial system. So it is a Tesla bifilar pancake coil in a way, but it's actually all wound with RG58 coax. So there's quite a lot to the system. It's being fed from here, but just at this system so far. So the coax comes into the center and on the edge of the magnet, and rotates outwards all the way to the edge. It then tracks straight back into the middle and forward, and then rotates outwards all the way to the edge again. Okay. Now, the... hang on, have I got this asked about tits? Yes, I have. Sorry. It starts in the middle. Hang on, it's very tricky. And the ground side of the coax is connected to the magnet, which I've got copper tape on, and these toruses, right? So the ground side of the coax shield connects to the magnet. It's spiraling outwards all the way, and then coming back to the center, and then spiraling outwards all the way, and then coming to its source. So essentially, the active side, the inside part that goes through, because you know coax, when you're winding like an ugly ballon or something, it's increasing the inductance on the exterior of the shield, but not on the inner conductor because it doesn't see what's going on. So the active's going through the inner conductor, and it's not seeing it as like a bifilar pancake coil, right? But when it gets to the very, very end, it's terminated. So we have a dead end and we have maximum reflection, and that's what I tune into. So when this is pinging back and forth with high reflections, of course it's creating an equal and opposite on the shield, and it's the shield which is acting also as a bifilar pancake coil and driving these elements. Now, sorry I got confused trying to explain that. Now, all right. Yeah, this is so impressive. I will explain more of the system. This is just 5 watts, by the way. Right. So that's nuts. Now, so it's being fed differentially, obviously, at this coax, from here and here. This is a series string of inductors. These are Tesla bifilar pancake coils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they're all wound coherently. But they're fed like as if it was a dipole in the center, differentially, from another inductor. This inductor is a single input inductor that's designed to give a differential output, and it's magnetically tunable, okay? So all it needs is a signal, not a return path. It gets its signal, I tune it, and then I get high PP, volts peak to peak, but differentially at the ends. So that's what's feeding the coax that's got its 100% reflection, and then the equal and opposite generated on the coax shield is experiencing the wonderful behavior of the bifilar pancake coil and driving this. So let's go further down the system, right? I'll just have to stop the transmitter. Okay, I'll just kill that actually. Now, all right, I'll show you more. Okay, so what's feeding this? Well, this is being fed, like I said, from a single wire. Okay, so I'm going to stuff all this up now and go into this. Now, someone did ask me a while ago about this. I used to have a UHF Yagi set of elements on it just as an electrode. It's been a very successful LMD wave experiment, this one. Okay, so what we have here, I have my input from the radio, coax, typical, just 2 on 3. And this is going to be tricky. Now, please don't ask me for every single bit of info. I'm not giving it all away, but I'll give you the basics, okay? So the active, let's track this through, from the input goes to the very big outer edge of a conical Tesla bifilar pancake coil, which is wound on a permanent ferrite magnet, okay? From that, the very inside, the other end of the bifilar coil, it then jumps across to a second bifilar pancake coil, of course, on a magnet, right? And then it comes out, and this has now 2 paths. One path is to the third bifilar pancake coil, right? Let me make sure I'm not getting this incorrect. And that comes across to one side of the variable capacitor. The other side of the variable capacitor comes back to the active input, okay? So let's rewind now to where it took the junction. At this junction, it also comes out here, right, to what would be otherwise, though I have made some changes, a single wire feed, bipolar, differential output inductor, except one of the two sides, equal and opposite sides of its output actually then tracks back, well, it used, to the input reference, okay? So this actually works against reference on one side of its output. On its equal and opposite output, it actually has additional turns, and it's that which then goes out. So again, a step up, okay? And it's that stepped up result then becomes my single wire feed for this single wire input differential output magnetically tunable inductor, which then its outputs, equal and opposites, are connected to these as if like a dipole, where in a sense it's also then like an additional step up transformer. And then the two equal and opposite high voltage outputs differential come from that to my very unusual coaxial bifilar system pancake coil, which then drives the torus element, and this is magnetically polarized as well. So there you go. It's nuts. 7-3, and thanks for watching. And I'm nuts too, and proud of it.